Are you considered a nice person at work and often agree to take on tasks or even others' work, even when you're really overwhelmed? Do you find it hard to stand up for yourself and just agree with things because it's easier and you don't want to offend anyone? We have been conditioned to believe that being nice to everyone is the best policy. But in reality, being really nice can actually hurt your career. It can lead to burnout, resentment, and a lack of respect from your team and your colleagues. If you find yourself accepting things that you don't want to do, decisions that you don't agree with without any comment, nodding in conversations that you don't actually support, and eating lunch with colleagues you don't even like, then you're potentially being a bit too nice at work. To start reversing this nice behaviour, the first step is to level up your assertiveness. Assertiveness is about communicating your needs and wants clearly and respectfully. It's about saying no when you need to and setting boundaries. So to start with, I would be practicing active listening. Pay attention to what other people are saying and ask clarifying questions. I have a video which is linked on your screen which goes into depth about active listening and how to do this. And there are some fundamentals such as paying attention to the words that people are saying and then checking back in with them to confirm your understanding of what they've said. This is about reflecting back to them in your own words what you heard to confirm that it is correct. So why does active listening boost your assertiveness? It means that you are informed about situations around you. This is really important as a leader and helps build your own confidence in being assertive. It's pretty hard to communicate your needs and wants clearly and respectfully in an assertive way if you don't understand the situation that is in front of you. Active listening will support you with this. The second step to building your assertiveness and taking a step back from being the nice guy is to use I statements. This is about expressing your own opinion and being strong about expressing your needs and wants without blaming others. It is easy to use the words they and we when communicating a decision that perhaps you know is going to have a negative impact, particularly in a leadership role. It takes the heat off you a little bit, makes it look like you don't really have the authority or didn't make the decision yourself, so it's not your fault. Unfortunately, it also makes it look like you don't have the authority and tends to align you more with your team rather than as the leader of your team. It's also a bit of a cop-out of your actual role and sounds a lot like, it's not my fault, don't blame me, which is a bit of a personal gripe of mine if I hear it from leaders. It takes courage to take the responsibility, but in my view, it's part of the role. The third step to move away from being the nice guy to being an assertive leader is to set boundaries. This is both within your team to be sure that you're not seen as a friend, which is important enough that I have made another video about that linked on your screen, and also in your role and having the ability to say no politely and firmly. A key trait of those nice people among you is that it's pretty hard to say no. I have learned during my 17 years of leadership that there are ways to say no that isn't confrontational or difficult, and that it's important to adapt the response and the method of doing so depending on the situation. If someone has spent time putting together a proposal and presenting you with a decision that you either need to accept or decline, saying no straight away without any apparent consideration or explanation isn't assertive. It's blunt and potentially rude. However, if you'd already had conversations with that individual about how their idea wasn't going to work, or you did not want them to proceed with any further detail regarding it because you've already said no, and they insisted on presenting you with this proposal, then perhaps a flat out no is required. I don't really think too much about saying no anymore, because every time I am presented with something that is a decision, I am already in the stages of actively listening to what they are saying, considering my response, asking clarifying questions, particularly around what the wider implications could be for this decision that I'm making, and what other options have been considered when they were coming up with this, all of which are helping me pull together what my answer could be in terms of making a yes or no decision. In approaching the request in this manner, I try and include the individual in my decision, as I'm really asking them to present me with all of the information that I need to help me formulate my response, which sometimes results in them coming up with the no decision themselves, as they can see the rationale as we talk it through. Rather than considering the negative aspect of no, consider how you can involve the team in directions and goals so that you are hopefully collaboratively getting to the same result. Although the buck does stop with you, and it is your responsibility to actually say no, and sometimes that will be a hard and fast no. The fourth step is to build your self-confidence. This can take some practice. Sometimes you won't feel confident at all about stepping into an assertive and less nice leadership role, but you'll need to reassure yourself that it's okay to say no to some things, to stand up for yourself, and to set boundaries. It can take some getting used to, and it does take a bit of courage. But once you have politely asserted yourself a few times, it does get easier. And keep in mind, you can still be a nice person, just an assertive nice person. Thanks very much for watching.